Konnichiwa, senpai desu. Welcome to another episode of Art Review. Well, the last art review was in Stone Age. Don't worry though, your art hasn't evolved much since then.
Damn!
No, I'm not saying your drawings belong to the Stone Age. I'm saying, if you show your drawings to our cave-dwelling ancestors, you will get a standing ovation. Since I've received a decade worth of cave drawings from you Kuhais, it's time to unleash them. Let the reveal begin. The illustration that we are going to review today is from Brony0. Brony0 said I wanted to try a new way of adding light instead of adding an airbrush. What else should I improve on and how to add light without using an add layer? What Brony0 meant by add here is the add layer effect. I'm going to demonstrate the add layer effect for anyone who doesn't know what this is. Let's say we have a color sphere here, and then we want to add a yellow light source here for example. By using this add layer, we can simply paint the color on the sphere to portray the lighting. Well, for me personally, I've never really used it, so it's up to you whether you want to use it or not. Anyway, this user wanted to know how to add light without using this add layer, so let me show you guys my way of doing it. Before that, I will duplicate this layer first so that the original drawing doesn't get tarnished by me. Besides, duplicating layers allows us to compare the before and after of your drawings. It's highly recommended to do so throughout your drawing process. The most simplest way to separate light and shadow is by using this method called two-tone shading. I am sure many of you Kuhais have heard of it, especially from my last video. For those who don't know, two-tone shading simply divides the shade into two tones, which is light tone and dark tone. These two shades are applied on different areas of the figure to create areas of light and shadow. This could be applied to objects as well. But before applying the two-tone shading, we need to decide where the light is coming from, its source, its direction. For simplicity, I decided to put the light source at the top corner here so that you Kuhais can visualize better. Then, we will separate the drawing into two shades as discussed earlier. It's important to know the anatomical structure of the subject when you're applying the two-tone shading, because where your shade matters. Shade the wrong part and your drawing would look unnatural, so it's crucial that you learn the basic anatomy of the body first before you attempt to learn how to shade. Our head has a sphere shape, like a watermelon. Well, a pumpkin if you're an idiot. So when the light rays hit the sphere, this part is going to be covered in shadow. However, one important point is that the shadow shouldn't be drawn like this. This is wrong. Very wrong. Don't you ever do this. Instead, do it in a curve starting from the head until down here. I will explain more in detail later. As for the face, just shade the jaw here and it's done. And then the nose. Since the nose is somewhat blocking the light, there should be a triangle-shaped shadow here. Last but not least, there are also shadows beneath our double eyelids here. And that's it! The face is done. Simple, isn't it? Alright, let's move on to the body. When the light source is placed here, your head is gonna block this area, forming a core shadow. I know it's not easy to visualize where the shadows will form, but one basic tip is to determine what are the parts that are in the way of the light's trajectory. If it's blocking the light directly, then the area behind it is where the shadow would form. I hope this helps. This part here is gonna be covered by shadow as well because the light is being blocked by this thing. Now, we will draw some core shadows of the hair on the shoulder. I don't know how exactly the shadows will form on the shoulder, but I do know this is roughly the spot. As for the hand part, the shadow will form at the back of the hand, under the fingers, and inside the palm. Then, we have the booba and this is how its shadow will look like. Lastly, draw some shadows here for this hair strand. And there you go. This application of two-tone shading is quite minimal in this drawing, so it shouldn't be too hard for you Kuhais to follow. Some of you Kuhais might say,
Oh, senpai, why do you shade like this? Oh, senpai, I don't understand. Oh, senpai, tips on shading accurately please.
Alright, relax. I'll break it down for you noobs. First thing first, the shading of the head. As I have mentioned, our head is a watermelon, which means that the shadow on the head should be curved. Okay, it might be a little hard to imagine, so let's assume there's a sphere and a light source here. When you're shading a sphere, the shape of the shadow will actually follow the curvature of the sphere. By applying the same concept from the example just now, the shadow should be slightly curved and somewhat follow the outline of the sphere. In this case, the sphere is the brain. After that, it's time to shade the nose. If we look at the nose from a side view, the bridge of the nose actually obstructs part of the sunlight, and this creates a shaded area on the face. Drawing this small triangular shadow at the nose area helps to emphasize the shape and structure of the nose. This technique is often used to make the nose appear more three-dimensional.
But senpai, I don't want to add any nose shadow. I just want to draw one line for the nose.
Do not question it. Just add the shadow. Okay, the nose part is cleared. Next is the shadows under the double eyelid. Adding shadows can improve the eye's overall appearance and adds a layer of depth to the face. I mean, just look at Captain Jack Sparrow. There's so much depth in his face. Okay, I'll see myself out. Moving on to the hair. Like I've said, use your imagination and visualize where the shadow will form. As the hair is obstructing the sunlight, there will be shadow on the shoulder. These are the kind of small details that will make your light and shadow schemes look more realistic and appealing. As I've said previously, the head will block this area here, which then forms a core shadow. Also, the body will block the sunlight as well. Thus, the right hand side of the body will be completely covered in shadow. Furthermore, the light can't travel to the bottom, so it's black down here too. Alright, the handle! In order to accurately shade the hand, you have to completely understand the form and structure of the hand. If you are not sure how the shadows will form, just use the flashlight on your phone and observe the shadows on your hand. You can also try different hand poses to see how shadows are formed differently. In this drawing, the shadow will form at the back of the hand, under the fingers, and inside the palm. Lastly, the booba. So the same as our head, the booba can be simplified into spheres as well. When a top light is used to illuminate the booba, a specific type of shadow known as the drop shadow will form. The drop shadow is formed by the protrusion of the breast, which causes a shaded area to form directly beneath them. But if your booba went to the shadow realm, then I'm afraid there are no shadows to be drawn. To summarize, the best technique to draw an accurate and stunning two-tone shading is by breaking down all the anatomies into basic geometries like spheres, cylinders, and squares. It's not rocket science, just pure logic. And the shading is now complete. The next step is to incorporate the finer details. For the hair, it's more realistic if you erase some of the parts here. I see there's this hair strand coming out from here. I guess I can add something to it. This part is blocked, so something here and then here. I can also do this and then here. Something here. I can also do this and then here. Something here. Something here. I can also do this and then here. Haha, sorry for all the mumbling. By the way, I just want to emphasize one thing about the shading of the hair. I can see that you've put a lot of effort and time into adding so many details to the hair, which is great. However, I still think there's room for improvement. But before I show you how, I'll need to erase all the details from the hair. Nothing personal, kid. Alright, give me a second. So I'm done reverting the hair back to its most simplest form. Just gonna redraw the line art. Then, I'm going to apply the two-tone shading and further polish the shadows. Now, don't you think the drawing is much cleaner? From here, we can create another layer to paint a darker shadow to further enhance the 3D-ness of the hair structure. Finally, I will add the highlights onto the hair. I was planning to use yellow for the highlight, but I think blue is a better option instead because the complementary color of yellow is blue. But hey, you can use any color you want as long as you think it looks good. And then we will blur the edge just a little bit. After that, add just a small flick here. By using this simple technique, we can achieve a much better result. Just because it requires less effort doesn't mean it's pointless. Keep it simple. So this is the result. I didn't manage to complete the rest of the drawing, because if I did, this video would be 30 minutes long. However, if you're interested in seeing more in-depth tutorials like this one, please comment down below.
Feel free to support me on Patreon, I really appreciate it. Please drop a like, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Twitter. DM me if you want a commission from me. Alright, that's all from me. Jana, guys.